I'm Laura Wilson. I'm the curator of paleontology at the Sternberg Museum of Natural History.
And I'm Allie Baumgartner. I am the paleontology collections manager here at the Sternberg Museum of Natural History.
And thanks for joining us for another episode of A New Way to Museum.
Today, we are going to be talking about the stuff in front of us, but before we get to that, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you can see new videos from us every week.
So what are we talking about today, Allie?
Oh, bones. We're talking about bones. Specifically, we're talking about these bones from Minimum Quarry. So we have a previous video where I have talked about the history of the excavation of Minimum Quarry. So if you'd like a more in-depth story, you can go check that out. But in the meantime, I'll give you the basics. So in the 1980s, a landowner contacted scientists at the Sternberg Museum because they had found interesting bones on their property, specifically rhinos, which you don't find in Kansas today. So in the mid-80s, specifically in 1985 and 1986, we had some National Geographic Foundation grants so that we could excavate at this site, and we found thousands of bones. And yes, it is a late Miocene site, so it's approximately 9 million years old. So this is the time where we have grasslands throughout Kansas, and it's a really important locality that we are lucky to have here in our collection.
And one of the things you might see as you peruse all of these different bones that we have laid out here is that they don't look like what you would imagine a fossil collection looking like in a museum, whether it's behind the scenes in storage or on exhibit, because it's in bits and pieces and jars and in paper that's dated to 1985. And this is not how we want the long-term preservation of our fossils to be. We like them to have individual homes and individual drawers where we can control the environment and they're not knocking against each other and breaking apart, where things that might be falling apart because they're not well fossilized can be stabilized. And that's really what we're trying to do with this collection right now. So we were very lucky to write and then be awarded an Institute of Museum and Library Services grant to help take care of this very important fossil collection. And there are a lot of different things that we're going to be doing on this grant. So what are we going to be doing in collections, Allie?
Okay, so there are 3 main categories of tasks. So this is a 3-year grant, because there are thousands of bones that we need to go through. So the things that are already in our collection and things that were collected previously. In fact, we still have ongoing collections at this locality, so it will never be over. But the first step before we can do anything else is to assess and figure out what we have and what state is this material in. So assessing, identifying, and then cataloging material. So assigning it a catalog number so that it can become a permanent part of our collection. So that is the first step, and that's supposed to take us about a year or so. The second step of the grant is going to be archiving and getting everything exactly how it's supposed to be. So instead of being in paper bags or newspaper or plastic vials that aren't necessarily archival, we're going to make sure that everything is in beautiful acid-free boxes so that we don't damage our fossils that way. For larger specimens, we will be making either cavity mounts or archival jackets. So a cavity mount is basically a hammock, a home for bones. So this is an example that we practiced on so that the students and I would know what we were doing. Under normal circumstances, you might not make a cavity mount for a bone like this, but that's okay. It was perfect for practice. And so as you can see, we have foam in the bottom. We have an archival Tyvek, basically sling a hammock for this bone to sit in that is padded so that it is not bearing any of its own weight. And then it also has these bumpers on it so that they rise above the level of the fossil. So if someone is closing a drawer and not paying attention, it will hit the bumper before it hits a bone. In addition, we'll be making archival jackets. So for much larger specimens, we'll basically be making little cradles for them to live in so they can stay in oversized shelving, again, so that they are not resting and supporting themselves with their own body weight. And then finally, the last step of this grant is going to be digitization. So updating our databases and photographing everything so that we can share all of our wonderful data online.
We have a couple of really big initiatives within the paleontology department here at the Sternberg, and really this project is a great exemplar of everything that we're trying to do. As a public repository, so one that is publicly funded through state and federal money, that we try to keep our collections open to everyone possible, whenever we take in new fossils, or really any specimen, we agree to hold it into perpetuity, meaning that we are holding it for as long as possible. And part of that is keeping these fossils safe as possible. And so a lot of that, obviously the rehousing, as well as the making sure that we're maintaining the data. So we don't want to lose the physical fossils, but we also don't want to lose the data that are associated with them, because those are things that we can never get back again. So preservation of fossils, preservation of their data, and then data sharing as well. Ali mentioned digitization. So this is capturing 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional images that we can then share on our online repository. We can put in other big data aggregators, which means that anybody, no matter who you are and where you are in the world, as long as you have an internet connection, can access our collection data and the collection images. So this is great for researchers around the world, for educators that want to put together any sort of curricular or learning activities using real fossils and fossil data. We can 3D print these and make supplements to learning activities as well. And then there are a couple of other things that go with this as well. Ali mentioned that she's working with students. So a lot of the funding of this grant is actually going for students to be able to work hands-on in collection, to learn new skills, and to be able to take those skills into the job market, into graduate schools. So there's a lot of professional development on them. They can go to conferences where they can network with other people with common interests. And really one of the last goals that we have is tying in the relevance between what we're doing to conserve the collection, as well as the importance. So Ali mentioned that this is about 8 to 9 million year old fossil and fossil locality. So this is right as grasslands are really starting to take off and spread across the central part of continents. So not just North America, but it's a big story in the evolution of North America and North America ecosystems. So one of our goals is to actually provide more direct educational content to people as well. So to tie in what this fossil locality tells us about what's going on in North America and changing ecosystems, how that relates to changing climates. So we have a lot of big kind of collection and paleontology goals and natural history museum goals that we're trying to tie in within this project and this collection between professional development, conservation, data sharing, and really things like that. So it's going to be a really cool 3 years and lots of opportunities for professional growth and collections growth.
I'm really excited to see actually opening all of these newspapers and see what we have waiting for us, because these boxes have been waiting for us for 35 years, and I'm very excited to see what's been inside. It's basically Christmas.
Hopefully we'll do an update sooner than 35 years.
Yes.
But thanks for joining us this week for a new Way to Museum. If you like this video, hit like and follow, and hope to see you next week with more content. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us in A New Way to Museum with the Sternberg Museum of Natural History. If you enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell for notifications when we release a new video. Support us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. You can also follow us on all our social media. Links are found in the description. Thanks for watching, and follow your curiosity to new discoveries.